Okay, let's start again. So, welcome again. And so, for that matter, I will try to have this lecture recordings, but sometimes those problems have occurred in the past. So, that's what I'm actually try to be very careful about it. Well, other than that, another thing is why this thing is not working. The screen size. Okay. This is my basic, bare minimum basic information. Probably, I'm sure all of you already have this basic information in the syllabus. So I don't really need to go over lengthy, going over. I don't need this. But one thing is, I live here actually. Hey. What I mean by this, my office actually is in this building, fourth floor. So if anything, if you have any urgent or anything, to just stop by to say hello, that's fine. Then you can just try to come over to this laboratory where I work. But the problem is probably you have to be very lucky if you think you can find me, because I'm very lousy, goofy guy. So usually I'm not really around over there. But anyway, in case if there is anything that you really need to see me in person, yeah, that's hey. I am available basically, especially if you try to make an kind of advanced appointment. Oh, fine, of course. So if you have before the exam, hey, I have several questions. So can we go over this and this then? And can we make an appointment? So then can I come over that room for 13 whatever to have those? Yeah, that's fine, perfectly fine. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Hello. And yeah, so even I think you already have, let's see, my, can I just go with this? Why? My cell phone number that you can use this to have a text message communication anytime. Okay, so that's also email also. Yeah. So basically, if you have anything to communicate with me, basically email as well as this text message will be just fine anytime. Okay. And this semester lecture, as we all know, 100% in-class lecture is now in full gear. And as I have already mentioned, every lecture, including this, is being recorded. I'm not really sure with this type of technical hiccup how good quality of the recording you will be able to see, at least for the first time, but still, it's there. The textbook. The textbook is where is the textbook section? I accidentally deleted. Where are you? Anyway, okay, sorry. The title of the textbook is called the E.O. Wilson's Life on Earth. But unfortunately, if you're lucky enough to be a Mac user, Mac or iPad including, then these are all free that you can freely download. And this is really a cool textbook, electronic version of the books. Uh, I wish I could show you here. How cool is this? Yeah.
Atoms are often visualized with electrons.
A lot of this audiovisual media within this textbook. So this is one example of how cool is this textbook, the so-called this Life on Earth by E.O. Wilson's. So this is really nice English textbook, and also very readable. It's not really that difficult, and the length of the book is also very moderate. Although, yeah, don't get intimidated. Hey, we have 6 books. Are we going to cover all of this? Hell no. We don't have enough time. Probably, if we are really extremely lucky, we would be able to touch 1, 2, 3 book. Beyond that, yeah, there's no way I can cover all of this. And even that, I'm not going to go over all this textbook from try to read line by line. No, I'm going to pick only some of the very essence, for so to speak, essence of the content, and try to go over together over here in the form of lecture handout, of course. Did everyone get the lecture handout, the first lecture handout, uploaded on the Snowboard? Everybody? Yeah, it will be there, just like in. So all those first lecture handout is going to be finished, and then the second lecture handout will be available over the Snowboard. It's so annoying. But please try to understand. This is not my problem, at least. Not my fault, so to speak. But anyway, okay, so that is very cool textbook. Let's try to have, for now, just for a moment, in this way. Just for a second. Because, anyway, this E.O. Wilson's, by the way, if you happen to know this gentleman, Professor Che, actually this E.O. Wilson, unfortunately, he passed away very recently, as you can notice over here. Was the PhD advisor at Harvard. So Dr. Che got his degree, a PhD at Harvard, from his laboratory. So he's really a worldwide renowned, very famous scientist. Although he's not there are several branches of biology, life science, including like me, although I cannot even think of trying to compare my level with him. But anyway, if I dare to compare some different branches, I am, so to speak, like a molecular biologist, like always trying to think of manipulating DNA and proteins and all those chemical stuff. Whereas the Professor Wilson and Dr. Che are the conservation biologists. They are always interested in like, think of this ant. He's an ant biologist. He's an expert in ant. So entomologist, insects. And basically those biologists are really have a primary focus, interest in the nature, trying to preserve the nature, environment. So I really, with that, for that matter, I do have a personally really the utmost respect for those biologists. Anyway, so they are basically inevitably, they will touch, they are very much interested in the subject of evolution, okay, so to speak. Although in our class, of course, at the early stage of a classroom, I'm going to introduce and try to emphasize the concept of evolution. Well, if you happen to be a bioscience major in this department, I noticed that at least a couple of students are the majors. But you will be surprised that even as a biology major, for some reason in this department, they don't really put too much, I shouldn't say too much, so much emphasis on evolution. You don't really even have a good opportunity to go over with this concept of a different evolution and the common ancestor. But here is the opportunity. I'm going to, at least for the early beginning stage of the lecture, I'm going to introduce the concept because that is very important. Regardless of your religious background, let's just throw away all those different religious doctrine. Hey, I myself is a kind of a Catholic, kind of. I'm not as a good Catholic. I'm a very bad Catholic. I don't go to church these days, but still, when speaking of this religion or God things, yeah, I do sometimes. Not very much open, but I do even sometimes pray to God. But still, so if you think that concept of evolution is something quite contradict with your religious belief, which I 100% respect, whatever your religious background, but just throw them away because we are not going to make any conflict of this philosophy in this classroom. But the only problem over here is while we are in this classroom of discussing or learning life, this evolution is just the very basic, the fundamental foundation. Without it, nothing. I think, hey, why don't we simply stay away from that controversial subject, evolution, and try not to touch? Nobody will just be upset about it if you do so. But the problem is, even me, like for example, like a molecular biologist, so you may think that, hey, I don't have to worry about this evolution thing because you don't really worry about those concepts. No, I have to. Because everything, in theory, everything in this biology is built upon the very starting point of the thinking this way, the evolution. So that's why I have to touch this subject. But once again, let's think of this as kind of a game. We are playing game. While you are, whether the game is real or not, as long as you are in this game, you have to obey, you have to follow the rule of the game. But that doesn't mean that rule of that game is something that the truth whatsoever. So let's just see, if you have some little bit of problem, then at least try to think of this way so that you don't really have to struggle too much about it. But anyway, not too much about this. So, but like I said, although this textbook is just so great, I mean, personally I believe, it's so good, cool. Especially, this is the English speaking classroom lecture. There is a reason why I still try to maintain this the lecture format. Why don't you just go over the lecture in Korean? Because after all, you are not even a native speaker, right? But there is a reason, a very good reason, that like 10 years ago, or what, more than 10 years ago, there has been a trend in this country that everybody in this the university, they try to have the lecture in English form. But that trends, for many reasons, for various reasons, faded away. So right now, nowadays, even in this university, you don't really get to see too many English lecture course. But still, I personally, it is very important in the university, at the university, that lecture, basically I believe that all the lectures should be dealt in English in all the college level in this country. That's my only personal belief, and for very good reason. It's not because it's not because I love America or something, anything. No, not at all. It's not that. But anyway, I don't really need to go over that reasons. But anyway, this is the English lecture course. So textbook has to be accordingly in English. For that matter, this is one of the really ideal textbook for that matter for like introductory biology, especially for targeting for non-science majors. Although there are so many stripped down version of introductory biology course, and then professors use those as this textbook for this type of classroom, but that is fundamentally different because that is in the beginning, to begin with, that is for the majors, but only the content has been stripped down. That is not really a good idea for non-science major. Perhaps some of you, even surprising enough, some of you have not had any biology course in your entire lifetime, maybe, while you are in school, although surprising it is. But then it's going to be very difficult for those students to have this way of lecture with the majors. But anyway, so this is a good textbook, but the problem is it's only available for Mac users. So what am I going to do? Yeah. So if you happen to be, unfortunately, Windows or Android users, don't worry, nobody is perfect. It's fine. You don't really have to kill yourself just because you are an Android user. I prepared actually. Probably it's a kind of a copyright violation, I know, but I just remembered what the heck, I did it. So at each page I captured the screen of the book on my computer and then converted them into PDF. So that's what you see on Snowboard as a textbook. There are two versions, but so one is called the OCR version and the other one is the non-OCR version. So what's the difference? Probably a lot of you may have already noticed because you are smart enough, but to just go over, reiterate again, I'm an old-fashioned person. OCR versions, OCR, everyone knows what OCR stands for, right? Optical character recognition. So when the scanned version, when computer scanned the original initial document, and the computer, if it is equipped with the proper software like OCR program, then computer will try to recognize the text and then really convert them. First, it was an image, but now at least the text computer convert that as an actual text. That's what we call OCR, optical character recognition. So nowadays, even your smartphone has OCR function. So if you scan any document, and they will automatically try to recognize. So what's the point of trying to have that as an OCR? Is you can handle this text. You can copy paste. If there was an initial original scanned image, let's say you found any good phrase that you can transfer that particular part into your document, other document, but you can't because it's an image file. But once you're done with the OCR, then you can now copy paste. So that's the OCR version. And another beauty of this, once you finish this OCR processing, the file size become very small. I mean, manageable. I shouldn't say it's very small, but it's okay. A small file size. But the problem is, it's ugly. The text typeface is just ugly. What do you mean by? Let me show you. So this is non-OCR version. The text looks pretty, but OCR version text looks a little bit jagged like this. So personally, I cannot stand this type of garbage. That's why I also prepared the original, scanned the original version of the text so that just in case. And besides, the OCR version has a smaller file size artificially. That means the original graphic quality has been also compromised, so you won't be able to see as good as the quality of the graphics comparatively with the non-OCR version. That's why, okay, so enough with this. That's why I had two different versions of both OCR and non-OCR versions. And as you noticed probably, the non-OCR version of the first textbook is like almost 500 megabyte inside. It's huge, humongous. So if you had a very slow the internet speed, probably it must have taken such a long time to download it. But in these days, in this country at least, that is not usually a big of a problem. So I just okay, and what am I going to? What is going on? Okay. So that's the difference. And this is not a textbook. So just if you have a spare time, if you have a spare time and a spare money also, and then you can try to buy this book. One good thing about this book is it's available both in Korean version and in original English version. So in Amazon, you can get even ebook version of this original written in English of this book, and yeah, and even somewhere it's only 34,000원. I don't know. It was a couple of years ago, so I'm not really sure whether that particular price still holds. So anyway, this is, by the way, this Brian Cox. This is this gentleman, nice, handsome young gentleman is Brian Cox, and he's not even a biologist. He is a physicist, majored in physics. And then suddenly he became interested in the life, wonders of life, and he traveled several very important places of the world, then witnessed himself the so-called, that's the title of, that's why the title of this book is Wonders of Life. It's very readable, good, and contains very fundamental good concept about the basic philosophy of life. So I highly recommend this book once again. But anyway, this is nothing about your exam taking or anything. So if you are only interested in getting a very good grade after taking high score, getting a high score on the exam, and this book, it's not going to be any help for you. It's just for, like I said, if you had an extra time and money for your general enrichment of your 교양, that's another book that you might want to try. So the lecture will be based upon the textbook, lecture handout. Some of the lecture handout materials are not from the textbook. It's just from my the picture. So I just put it through long experience, at least long experience of this field. I put some of my knowledge onto this lecture handout, some of them. And all those will be fair game for your test. But if anything, if I decided to put some of the material from the textbook on the test, then I will give you some advance warning. Okay? A textbook is huge. I mean, relatively speaking, huge. So for your exam preparation, do I really have to go over, read line by line from the very first page to the end? No, that is not I will try to. Although I enjoy you suffer, but not that much like that. So if I am going to put something out of the textbook that was not covered during the lecture, then I will let you know. Hey, I'm planning on pick this particular thing on page whatever on the textbook on the exam, so I can get ready. Okay. Okay, so lecture handout and all those lecture recordings in the form of link on the Snowboard, because lecture recording file is huge in file size once again, so I will only provide some of the link, and then original files you can find in my own YouTube channel. I do have my own YouTube channel. Actually, I began running this YouTube channel for it's been more than 13 years ago, 14 years ago. So I can say I was one of the early adopters. But the thing is, only strictly for this type of classroom. So it's not something that I just generated impromptu during the pandemic era. No, it's not. I've been running my YouTube channel only strictly for this lecture recording dumping place, because I always believe that lecture should be recorded at the same time, so that later student can have access to the previous lecture recording, because you cannot expect that any student would attend every lecture throughout the entire semester. That's impossible. I wasn't able to do when I was in college, no, at all. So that was the main reason I started the lecture recordings. But anyway, so I do have the YouTube channel for that matter. But once again, because that is an educational purpose channel, I don't have any advertisement or any financial. I'm not seeking any financial benefit. I have never had. So you can feel free. So thumbs up and subscription, there were no pressure. Okay, please. Your subscription or the thumbs up does not help at all in preparing the lecture recording. So feel free from such a stupid pressure. Just visit and get what you want and then leave. That's So since I'm having this movie channel, lecture movie channel, if for any reason, usually those emergency reason, on occasion that I had to cancel the classroom, then the makeup lecture will be provided in the form of these recordings. So we don't really have to try to schedule the makeup over the weekend. Let's not do that. So I've never had any classroom canceled for any personal reasons in the past, but I may, this semester, particular semester, I may have like a higher than usual chance have such an occasion. We don't know, but because right now I am struggling with the both parents. They are really ill, so I am taking care of those two old parents. And several occasions I had to rush one of my parents to the emergency room. So that if that happened on Friday afternoon, then I can not physically come over to the lecture. Then class will be cancelled. That only for that matter, potentially there might be a cancellation of a classroom for that reasons, but in that case, makeup will be provided in this form. Okay. Attendance. So attendance will be monitored weekly, and we're not going to use the electronic attendance system or anything. So forget about those. Attendance checking will be made a very old-fashioned, the primitive way of. I will be handing out small pieces of scrap papers to every one of you, and before you leave, at the end of a classroom, before you leave, you return the scrap paper in person. So, hey, this is my friend's paper. No, it's not going to be accepted. Each person will return their own scrap paper. Written, of course, probably you better write down your name at least. But more importantly for that paper, it's not really the main purpose of having this way of attendance checking. It's not for attendance itself, but this. I am more interested in your question. During the lecture, that particular day of lecture, if you had any question about the lecture material, write down. Hey, you wrote this, and then what do you mean by that? Anything? I don't have any question. What if I don't have any question? Of course, usually a lot of you don't even have any single question before you leave the particular day of lecture. Then you draw, you present your own nice drawing about what struck you most impressive kind of a thing. If that day's lecture, the most impressive thing was this ugly guy, then you draw your ugly this portrait of me. You can, of course, but just joking. And that question, you don't really have to have the question strictly related or closely related to the material what we have covered that day's lecture. Anything, just like if you had any question carried along with you for your entire life, then still never been answered by anybody, you can write down. I'm not know-it-all, but at least I can look for where I can try to search to have such answer. At least we can try. Especially, I can try. That is a very good excuse for me personally. Try on the ChatGPT. So why not? If there was any question that I cannot even answer, then I will try to ask to ChatGPT. See how good that AI thing is. Are they really as good as advertised? We'll see. Anyway, so each attendance. So if you turn in that attendance scrap paper, then it will worth 1 point. How many attendance points was assigned in this classroom? Do you know? 10. The maximum attendance point is 10 points. Okay. So how many classroom, how many lectures do we have? Something like, including the exam, we have something 14 or 15 lectures. Does not add up. Your attendance point is, so even you are here every week and then turn in every attendance scrap paper, but still your maximum score of attendance will not exceed the 10 points. Get the point? Right. So, in that way, officially you have the legitimate way of the skipping classes without any penalty, because once you fulfill 10 attendance points, then everything is simply extra gravy. So you don't have to worry about, just even if you skip the class, you will not be penalized. Okay. It's not something that I encourage you to skip the classroom, but to try to emphasize that I don't really personally think really the attendance itself is very important. Not really. Yeah. Everybody has their own reasons, and especially this. Look at the time of this classroom. 5 o'clock in the evening on Friday. Who would come? Especially on May or whatever, and then there will be a festival on campus. Would you rather be in the festival or in this boring classroom? Did you decide? So you can then manage. You can balance your life, outside life, and the classroom. So then there shouldn't be any big problem, I believe. Okay. So, and actually, the question is that you add the questions, then there will be some time that I will go over each person's question. Not every question, but if some selected questions that, this question is very good, interesting, then we will go over that student question during in the lecture. So in that way, we can have really at least the feedback was terrific. When I had this type of question and answer implemented in the test before the Corona pandemic era, and students loved it. So I will try once again. Unfortunately, actually last semester I decided to re-implement this, but unfortunately last semester, after this very first orientation class, the class was forced to close because suddenly more than 10 students dropped out of after the first class. I don't know what have I done? I don't know. But so pending that does not happen again, so that this classroom holds on, then we are now once again we are going to have this question and answer session in this way. Okay. So exam, we are going to have 2 exams. Midterm scheduled tentatively, of course. It can change, but at least it's an 8th week midterm, April 21st, right here. Final exam, June 16. Why instead of June 16? It's the 16th week actually, but we do have one holiday, the Children's Day, fall on to Friday. So instead of having makeup, so I'm going to push 1 week to the 16th week of this lecture schedule so that we can manage the thing, missed class due to the holiday. So unfortunately, this both exam will be held in class. In the past, for several last 2 to 3 years, actually, I had this exam allowing you stay in your home dormitory or whatever. Like instead of having in-class exams, so we had this exam through Zoom conference call, but not anymore this year. We are going to have this strictly in-class exam, and the exam format stays the same, so that you will see some multiple choice questions picking up, and several 3 or 4 short essay questions like that. Short essay means probably it will take only half the page of the exam sheet. The entire space allowed for your writing down the answer will be about half the page, is what I mean. You will see. I will post some previous exam jokbo on Snowboard when proper time comes, so that at least what would be the format of the exam. If not exactly the same question will be on, but at least you will see some of the repeating pattern of the type of exam you will get to see. So regarding this essay question, a lot of students always have this question: do I have to write down the answer to the essay question in English only? No, it's not. Although the question itself will be in English, but in answering them, you can write them in your most comfortable language. If that happens to be Korean, yeah, so be it. You can write down them in Korean. If that happens to be in Chinese, please don't. I cannot understand Chinese. So either English or Korean, either one, or even mixed version. So you start the sentence of the answer in English. In the halfway between, oh shit, what's the vocabulary for this? Then you can suddenly switch in the middle, switch into Korean. That's also acceptable. Why not? So either Korean or English or in mixed versions is perfectly fine. Now, another shame. At least for now, unlike the last 10 years or so, no, it's not. It's a lie. At least for the last 6 years, I've been doing this exam in open book format, but not anymore. This year, I'm going to, at least for now, because there have been several little technical problems about this, having this open book format. Because when I had this open book test format, I even allow the internet search during the exam. So students would bring their own laptop and then had this internet search and then try to answer them. It was perfectly okay for me, and I think that's the more desirable way of having tests on the students. Because if I had a conventional way of testing, then probably the thing that I will encourage is those students who can memorize better, quicker, and their memories stay longer and larger memory. Those students will be selected. Those students who are suitable for getting into a law school or a medical school. I don't think that's the better way, the right way of evaluating students. No other things, especially in these modern days. In these modern days, how good your memory is or how much can you memorize anything shouldn't be any your competitive point. Especially all those informations are out there, so it's just a matter of pulling up the proper information, how efficiently. So that's why I had those open book exam allowing even the internet search. You know. Some of the students have worried, concerned. What if they have some kind of conspiracy, or if you have an internet access is allowed, then students can talk each other and hey, what's the answer to this question number 5 or anything. And some students had such worries, but never had I actually before such real materialized problem. So I still believe that that is a really good way of testing students, but with this squeezed in space, the problem is then when I have such format of exam, the student will bring everything. So they pile up laptop and books, and so there's not enough space. So I'm trying to reluctantly think again at this point. So that's why I say, at least for now, why I move on during this semester, I may have a change of mind. So that, hey, let's have this open book class exam. We will see. Because I'm really curious about this year. If I had the same way of open book test, then at least some of you will try actually the ChatGPT. So I really am curious that what kind of answer will come out of those ChatGPT things. I think that's a very good way of having this information. We should not ban the student access to the ChatGPT. No, it will be our everyday life, routine life from now on. So we have to be able to come up with how we can utilize such commodity like AI, like ChatGPT thing. Everybody has to change, because the world is not going to be the same. It will not stay the same. So anyway, for that matter, I'm so curious and so excited about having such open book class exam, but at least technically speaking, I'm just kind of hesitating. So that's why I announced that at least for now, this exam will be a closed, conventional, traditional way, but there is a chance, although it's not really too high, but there is a chance that it may go back to my own old way of having this open book test. Okay, let's see. And point distribution will be like this: 45, 25, 10%. And strictly from top to bottom, 50% and up will be A. Okay. There are two different groups of A's, like A plus and A's. I never give an A minus unless you are repeating this class. But it depends. What's the criteria of like a cutting between A plus and A? That depends. Every different semester, it depends on the student performance. But usually, like top 30%, I usually give them the A plus, and below, above 50 and below 30% ended up usually A. And below the 50%, I mean mathematically, mechanically, without any kind of adjustment, then they will usually end up a B plus, unfortunately. Okay. I have never given C plus or anything. Never. Although occasionally I gave some students flunk, failing grade F. There is some. If you miss, we have both midterm and a final exam, and if you miss either one of these two exams, and there is no way I can, even if some students actually have, I don't know what happened to that student, but she missed final exam, But still, she had such a high score on midterm. So score-wise, score ranking-wise, she was even above, slightly like the upper edge of the B plus range. Yeah, even with only the single exam, but still, I had to. There's no choice. I had to flunk the students because it's a rule. If you miss one of those evaluation exams, then you have to automatically get this F grade. Okay. Oh, by the way, the university rules said that if you miss the classroom, like 1/4 of the classroom, then you will be automatically end up with F. Don't worry about that rule. I don't. I manually adjust such thing. So as long as you, in other words, our attendance point is 10 points. But if you are brave enough, I really personally respect such a bravery. If you are brave enough to, hey, I don't care about 10 points, I will survive, even without this 10 points. So if you never showed up from this time on, you never showed up, but only showed up on exam. So I asked, who are you? But still, so you only thing you lose will be your 10 attendance point, right? Even that's not, yeah, that's 10 attendance point. No, actually you get still 3 points. Because the first class is all pretty, so everybody will get a 1 point attendance. And 2 exam, so actually also each point, attendance point. So even if you skipped every entire classroom, but if you took the exam, then you end up 3 points instead of 10 points. So you only suffer from 7 points deficit. So if you are kind of, still with just a 7 point losing, still I will be on the A range grade. Fine, good. You will not be penalized for any additional things like the university rules, taking in, and you will be out. No, that's you don't worry about. Okay, so that's and academic misconduct, cheating, of course, alias. So I don't really think go over this. If this exam was an open book test, including the internet access search allowed, then we have to define what's actually, by definition, what's cheating. But if we had this closed book exam format, then everyone knows what's cheating, right? Try to pick over, hey, that's cheating, and it's like, that's cheating, but that's conventional, very cute way of having this cheating, academic misconduct. But in the occasion of open book exam was cheating. Trying to consult. During the exam, trying to consult with any other living creature is cheating. Because your internet access, internet search is allowed, so you can try to talk with the ChatGPT, hey, what's the answer for this thing? This is still allowed, so that's not cheating. But if you try to communicate with your friends sitting in the same place or somewhere out there, and through KakaoTalk or anything, hey, can you think of these questions? Then it's a cheating. So that's the kind of fine line of definition of what's cheating in the occasion of this open book format. And another thing that I have to apologize is, I wish I could provide you, every one of you, the dinner or some stuff to eat during the lecture, but unfortunately I can't afford, at least for now. So I cannot provide any snack. So probably if you are thinking of enjoying your own snack or drink, then you have to bring your own. Then it's perfectly okay. Oh, where is my drink? Okay. So yeah, it is still kind of sensitive. The pandemic is not over yet. Still, there is a chance that we can have some infection in this group activity, but still, assuming that everyone is to behaving yourself, trying to be careful, then at least having small drinks and small snack during the lecture should be allowed as long as you pick up yourself after you're done. Otherwise, I have to go over and then clean up, and then I will be mad. And if I get mad, then probably you are not going to be very happy about it. Right? And another thing is, so during the lecture, like your body is entirely free. You can drink, you can eat, you can chew, whatever you want to, but try to refrain from talking. Probably, as a civilized person now. So that's all allowed. And your body posture is also like a free. It's not something the military academy or anything. So you can even freely move around. Sit, sleepy, get up, and go back and take a walk like that. Then probably it will be much better. Yes, that type of seemingly chaotic activity movement is not really a chaotic anything. So let's have such an utmost freedom of your body, the dispositions. Okay? The lecture. Because this whole lecture is on only one particular evening of the week, Friday evening. I'm going to have this rather long break, 20 minutes or so, even 25 minutes break, you're right, in between. So the first session runs usually 5 to 6:15. And during afterwards, 6:15 to 6:40, 25 minutes long break, during which you can run and never come back. It's a very good opportunity if you have very important things on that evening. So that's a very good opportunity. Nobody will say anything about just even if you don't come back. It's only something that the script paper will be something that challenged. And second session will start at 6:40 to 7:50. Yeah, but usually the second session will, in my previous experience, it runs a little bit shorter than usual 7:50. So it's something 7:45 was the norm. So that's how. Why do we have this such a long break? 25 minutes break, so too long, because during that 25-minute break, you can go out and never come back, whatever, but I will still stay over here and then we'll go over the questions. Some of the questions that you had in the form of a previous week's scrap paper, so that if you are interested in or curious about what kind of question was there, then you can come back early and then participate, join in this session. And hey, no, I don't want to. I will just enjoy a full 25 minutes break outside of this classroom. Oh, fine, good. So nobody, even if no one is still remaining and seated, I will go over this because this whole thing will be recorded anyhow. So if any one of you are interested in reviewing the question, then you can take advantage of this recorded version on YouTube or anything. So that's why I am trying to have this rather long. So Something is not. This guy is. Yeah, of course. So any other question? No? Then this lecture, first lecture orientation is over, so you will be free to go. No, sorry, because we are meeting only once a week. It's not something that we do have a luxury of having twice a week meeting classroom. So after short break this week, today, after 10 minutes short break, we are going to go over a little bit over lecture, the first lecture. It's not going to be like the full length lecture. Hopefully, I can finish them within an hour or so. And another thing, once again, like after break, you decide to never come back to this classroom. That's perfectly fine. See you next week, or maybe some other times in our lifetime. That's fine. But if you happen to come back, then we will go over the first version of the lecture actually, after 10 minutes. Okay.